Hi everyone, this is just a quick video showing you how to use my new tool which is known as TZX Tools. This is just the follow-on from my previous tool which was called TZX Uploader. I've updated the tool a little bit to include Maxduino type firmware, so I had to kind of change the tool just a little bit to accommodate Maxduino. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the grand plan is to add some more functionality. So I have another tool called UEF Extractor, which is for decompressing UEF files. And I'll add that functionality into the next version. But I just want to keep it growing, right? But for now, this is just an update tool to allow you to update firmware that's based on Maxduino or TZXduino or Casduino or Arduino. So first thing, if you're using the Maxduino firmware and you have the splash screen logos, it's kind of a two-step process. So it's not like Duncan's TZXduino firmware where it's just all baked in one go. What Raphael did to maximize the memory was he kind of had to make it a two-step process. So I've provided a bunch of logos, and the first three, the kind of generic Maxduino logos, and then we've got the logos that I use on my devices, the Sinclair logo, Acon logo, BBC logo, and so on. So the idea is that you pick a logo, pick the COM port your device is connected to, the type of Arduino. So notice I've put the new bootloader as well as the old bootloader. On the whole, most of the devices out there are based on the old bootloader, but I have sold a few devices that were using the new bootloader, so I had to put it in there just in case. So old bootloader, the type of screen. Now you'll notice these two are grayed out because you can't load the splash screen, the logo, on an LCD type display. So they're programmatically grayed out. It's an OLED, so we'll pick OLED and we'll click upload. And now what it's doing is flashing a version of the firmware, Maxduino firmware, which loads up the logo at the beginning. Now we're still going to have to go into this tool to actually load up the Maxduino firmware as part of this process. It is a two-step process. Now on the screen on my when you're looking at my device now, you can see the Maxduino firmware has loaded, but that's just because it was there before. So you notice that it actually updated the logo with the ZX logo, but now we've still got to pick the Maxduino firmware that we want. And I'm going to pick the one that's got both UEF and TZX compatibility. Pick the COM port again. Notice how the LCD screens are available now because we're not flashing the logo, we're actually flashing the firmware. Now what you'll see is once this is done with Maxduino, the real reason for doing this is because if you don't do this, Maxduino loads up a little bit slower. You'll see the screen refresh a little bit slower. So this two-step process actually gives you the result that the Maxduino firmware will be up pretty quick after the logo. So that's why you've got to do it as a two-step process. So I hope you like it, guys. I'll keep adding to it. I've tried to add the latest TZX Duino firmware and so on. What's missing from here, and I will add it later, is my own firmware, which is DigiWavWino. But I just wanted to get something out very quick. Thanks, guys.